Senator. I'm Dave Scanlon.
Hey, Dave, good to see you.
Good to see you, too.
You doing well? Thank you. Hello. I didn't realize y'all were giving me a check. Let me just say thank you so much.
Before we get started,
yes, sir.
I have some explaining to do because we swapped the desks out that we were using before. And this desk is the desk of Representative Stephen Bullock, who is a New Hampshire legislator from Richmond, who over 100 years ago wrote New Hampshire's presidential primary law. And that led to us being first in the nation for over 100 years. And so for the reporters that have been asking, the reason that we swapped the desk out is because Representative Bullock's granddaughter, Sybil Dupuy,
Fine, thank you. Nice to meet you.
You as well, man. Thanks for being here.
She donated the desk to the archives.
Beautiful.
She informed me today that her maiden name is Scott.
Oh, my cousin. It's always good to find family in the state. Good to see you, man. Thank you very much. Now, are y'all from this region of the country?
I was from New Hampshire, the Keene area originally. I live in Maine now, but I grew up
okay.
in Winchester.
Very nice.
So, your paperwork is in order.
Yes, sir.
You need your signature right there.
All right.
And then we have the check for $1,000, so that's official.
It's official.
And you're welcome to make some comments here, and then we'd ask you to go in the middle room and address the New Hampshire
Make a
press.
couple comments.
Okay.
And we're going to have you sign something too.
Sign something too. Sign first, then? Okay.
Oh, yes, this is the notice to voters, which gets posted at every polling place. And we ask the candidates just to give a brief message to the voters of New Hampshire and then sign it.
All right.
They would like to know what you wrote, I'm sure.
Yeah. What I wrote was, the best is yet to come.
All right.
I will say without any question, I am excited about the future of this remarkable country. I've traveled around the country. I've come to one conclusion, that the people are incredibly strong, even though this administration is weak. Good, optimistic, positive leadership anchored in conservatism will turn this country around. We are not a nation in decline. Under President Biden, we have been a nation in retreat. Retreating from hard work, retreating from personal responsibility. The good news is the best days are ahead, and I look forward to leading the charge to make sure that the next generation of Americans, and frankly, even unborn Americans, will arrive in a country where the American dream is alive, it's well, it is healthy. I'll have more comments in the next room. Thank y'all.
Thank you. Hey, Gene, how are you? Good to see you. Come on in.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So much to thank.
Excuse me.
You heading out?
That's right. Amazing. She'll laugh and give her my name.
I always tell you, you're doing a good job. She's fantastic. She's done. She came in, she hit the ground running for a freshman. She's been fantastic.
S.Y.
Howdy. How are you? You doing well?
Yeah, you?
Yeah, thank God. Yeah. We're working out. I remember bad times. I remember hard times. I remember miserable times. And these aren't any of those times. So you do have reasons to be optimistic when you've seen the hard challenges of real life. Think about where I started and where I am, and thank God that we've had a chance to live a part of the American dream. And more to come. It's good news. All right. Sufficient? Okay. Let me just say, off the top, last night we heard our president address the challenges that we see in Israel. And I will say I was frustrated by his comments. There's no doubt that when you listen to what he said, he spent more time on Ukraine than he did on Israel. and you look at the aid package that's come together, $100 billion with about $61 billion going to Ukraine and under $15 billion going to Israel, I think we are much better off having a President of the United States who understands to keep the focus on our ally who was bombed by a terrorist organization, Israel was. To have most of his speech about Ukraine, I think, was a disservice. And it seems like the president never runs out of energy to talk negatively about Americans, but never has the energy to focus his attention on his own party that spews racist comments about our Jewish brothers and sisters from the squad and within his own administration. Finally, I would say without any question, you're not being, you have no phobia, Islamophobia, when you respond to the hate around the world showing up at our embassies where you have people chanting the death to America and frankly reinforcing, even on college campuses, a Jewish genocide. Two things that are very clear there. We should always push back against hate, even on our college campuses and at home, and we certainly should be aggressive against anyone who wants to kill Americans. With that, Holly?
Mr. Carter, so would you vote against this package?
I would. Yeah. What I'm going to hope and ask Congress to do is to have a package focused on Israel. A standalone package focused on Israel passes the Senate and the House. We need clarity. Clarity is we are responding to the crisis in the Middle East with a support package that reinforces our commitment to Israel. We deal with all the other issues separately, not to have this combination package that was designed to bring in more support for Ukraine, maybe at the expense of Israel.
And then just on the campaign front, here in New Hampshire, what do you see as sort of your biggest challenge? You've been coming here quite a bit.
Yes.
You've been here for a while. What's your biggest challenge today, and how are you addressing it?
I think the biggest, I see challenges as opportunities. The biggest opportunity here is to spend more time having a chance to do more town halls, meet more people. The more I meet people, the more town halls I do, the better off I am. And so I spent a disproportionate amount of my time doing my day job, being in the Senate, and just recently spent more time on the road over the last couple of weeks. I need to make sure that I continue to invest more time on the road to make sure that I meet the voters, and I think I will win them over.
Senator, you're going to the south side of Chicago on Monday.
Yes.
Talk about race and power.
Yes.
Want to give us a little preview?
Well, listen, I think part of the challenge that we see in this country today comes back from the war on poverty that started during the Johnson administration with the Great Society. Part of that Great Society reinforced the notion in order to get checks in the mail, you had to get the father out the house. And now, 6 decades later, the one thing we can do is we can measure hope deferred that makes the heart sick in high unemployment, high crime, and low levels of fathers in the house. Said differently, in the 1960s, 70% of African Americans had 2 parents in the household. Today, 70% of African Americans only have 1 parent in the household. As a kid who grew up in poverty and in a single parent household, the one thing I can tell you is that the devastation brought to this nation, and specifically to minority communities, because of a new branded version of socialism has been devastating. Reversing that will take clear, consistent messaging and policies that reverberate in conservative corridors that will actually be effective in the inner cities of our country while being just as effective in rural America.
What role does the government have in trying to restore that?
Thank you very much. I figured that wasn't the media, but just in case it was. Thank you very much, very much.
What role does the government have in trying to restore that family unit?
Well, couple things. I would say that the closest thing to magic in America is a good education. The one thing that we've figured out in Chicago specifically is we're spending $30,000 per student in that city, and the devastation is kids consistently can't read. You have the teachers union standing in the doorhouse of these schools and trapping poor kids into failing systems and trapping them out of their futures. breaking the backs of the teachers' unions is something that the President of the United States should take as a serious challenge, number one. Number two, I believe it is the head of the teachers' union in Chicago who sends her kids to private schools. That kind of dysfunction and hypocrisy should be highlighted for the tens of thousands of kids and, frankly, the single moms who are stuck in failing school systems, and yet the state of Illinois cancels one of the most important, effective tools, school choice, in their state.
And a follow-up for you, Senator. What is the path to victory for Tim Scott?
Thank you. I think it's the same thing that I just told Holly. The more time I spend talking to people, the better off we are. I have been blessed by being in this state often enough for, since the 2016, 2015 time frame. The one thing I know that the more time I spend it, the better off I am, the more people are converts to my brand of politics. And having that time, creating that margin to my schedule, so spending more time on the campaign trail will be incredibly helpful. And so I think that's going to help us a lot.
Senator, following up on that, earlier this week, and I know you had no connection to this and no power over this, but the main super PAC supporting you pulled the plug on your ads. At the same time, your Q3 numbers came in, and combined, there were a lot of stories about your campaign.
Yes.
Is your campaign in trouble, or are you okay moving forward?
I'm okay moving forward. Number one, I think we're actually great moving forward. The two pieces of really good news. Number one, good news is I don't control my super PAC. That's just really good news. Number two, I can't tell you exactly what they're thinking over there, but I can tell you, and you all have witnessed this as well, the fact of the matter is, breaking through in this current cycle of news focused right where it should be, on Israel, is very difficult. So if you're going to use your resources effectively, I'm glad that they're making the decision to use those resources as we end this year, hitting the first caucus and turning their attention to the first in the nation primary. Better news is that from a campaign account perspective, we still have more money than any candidate in the race, save Donald Trump. And so our ability to continue to move forward from my campaign, which I do control, is very strong.
What's it like running a situation where Trump is up here according to the polls, everyone else is sort of bouncing around in kind of middling territory to low territory?
Yes.
You say more time here is going to be the key, but what's it like running in an atmosphere where it doesn't really seem like it makes much difference what the rest of you do, given the advantage that the former president appears to have?
Josh, I think all things matter. Some things matter more than others, but everything matters. Making a difference in the eyes and the hearts of a single voter, and then doing that hopefully hundreds at a time in town halls or in kitchens, is the way to the nomination. I will say that anyone who has a formula for the Trump phenomena, I would be happy to sit down with you. I don't know what it is. So my theory is, my focus has always been on controlling the controllables. I'm going to control what I can do. I can't control what he's doing or how the voters have responded to it.
We're going to take two more from the back, then we're going to meet the Secretary of State.
Senator Scott, it's been 17 days since we've had a Speaker of the House. Are you concerned for your party?
No, I'm not concerned for my party. I am concerned for the House. One of the challenges that we need to realize in the House of Representatives, controlled by Republicans, is that the road to socialism runs right through a divided Republican Party. When you have 221 voters in the House, you need 218 to get to a speaker, and you have rules that allow for 8 people to stop that from going forward. So when 95% of the party wants to do the right thing and keep a speaker, and you can have 5% or just 4% up creating upheaval, you need to change the rules. That's going to be a step in the right direction from my perspective.
Senator Scott, do you think President Biden should be more intentional about pointing out to Americans that Americans were taken hostage and killed in Israel?
Well, yes is a short answer to that question. I like long answers, so I'll give you one as well. So think about the fact that during his speech, you didn't hear a lot about the hostages. I was really disappointed and frustrated with that as well. The fact of the matter is that when you think about 31 Americans who've lost their lives, multiple hostages, take a step back. And think about the fact that the President of the United States' first priority is national security. And I think that extends to Americans wherever we are. And to watch the hostage negotiations, the $6 billion, be translated from my vantage point into more resources for Hamas, who then creates a type of 9/11 in Israel that would have cost America 40,000 plus lives. And in addition to that, have American hostages, and to have so little time talking about the consequences of taking American lives. I've said this to most folks who are on the campaign trail with me. If you take an American hostage, it should cost you your life. There has to be a high price if you want to reduce the likelihood of additional hostages. There's really only two ways to deal with hostages. With terrorists, give them what they want and they will want more hostages. Take what they need and they will want fewer of your hostages.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Senator.
Hey, Josh.